Senator Rennick.
Thank you, Acting Madam Deputy President, and I rise today to support Senator Bragg's motion, and I'll just pick up Senator Sheldon there on those board appointments. The question I'll ask Senator Sheldon is, were those board members elected by the members of that fund? They weren't. They were selected. They were selected. And that is, and the People First Party, we are introducing, or we are proposing a policy that all board members of super funds have to be elected, because democracy matters when it comes to capitalism. And I know that the Australian people weren't given a choice in 1992 when Paul Keating decided to take 2% of their wages and give it to someone you've never met. And of course, had he actually been honest with the Australian people back in 1992 and said, by 2025, I'm going to take 12% of your hard-earned wages and I'm going to give it to someone you've never met, and you may or may not get it back when you're 67, I strongly doubt that the Australian people would have ever voted for such a scheme. And that is the problem with superannuation. It is undemocratic and it is effectively communism by stealth. Because today we have almost $3 trillion in the industry and super funds, and I'm going to be honest here. I'm going to be critical of the Liberal Party as well, because Howard and Costello should have killed superannuation stone cold dead in 1996 when they first got into power, but they didn't do that. They hopped on the gravy train, and as Senator Sheldon rightly points out, because the private superannuation funds were milking fees, so Commonwealth Bank bought Colonial Mutual, National Australia Bank bought National Mutual, Westpac bought Bankers Trust, and ANZ did a joint venture with ING. And I well remember being shocked one year when Colonial Mutual's return on equity was 66%. And of course they could earn such a high return on equity because it wasn't their equity they were playing with. And we well know the Productivity Commission has come out in 2000, I think it was 17 or 18, so it'll be more by now, and said that there is $30 billion a year spent on managing money in superannuation, and that was because it was effectively 1% of the $3 trillion under management. Well, that's expected to grow to $9 billion by 2050. But let's get to the rub of what this motion was about, and that's because CBUS hasn't been paying out people's superannuation upon death. Now, I've had people come to me in my own office and they've had to struggle to get the payout. You know, one lady, her fiancé died after getting the AZ vaccine at the age of 40, suddenly dropped dead, and she was unable to get any money, and she's only just because she's gone public with it, to get her fiancé's money out of superannuation, and it has taken over a year for CBUS to pay that money out, and that is an absolute disgrace. That is an absolute disgrace. So there needs to be, apart from the fact that it needs to be voluntary in the first place, there needs to be clear rules and guidelines as to how quickly money is paid out from superannuation upon the death of a person, because they are playing games. They are basically abusing their inherent power to deny people who can't afford the legal costs their right to their loved one's superannuation. And that is just, it just bells the cat on the whole fact that superannuation was never designed to help the people they're taking the money from. It was never designed to help the workers. We know today that there are still 50% of retirees on a full pension. That is the same percentage of retirees on a full pension in 1992. But there are $50 billion in tax concessions that go to the mainly upper 30%, yet that pension only costs $53 billion. So who's winning here? It's certainly not hard-working Australians. And to think that when they finally do, or when their loved ones pass away, that they cannot access their money out of superannuation is an absolute disgrace. And what's going to be even a bigger disgrace now is that the other superannuation members of CBUS are going to have to pay the fines because their board members that they never elected were too incompetent to actually ensure a timely payout of death benefits upon death. And that's because they don't really want to give your money back to you. They want to keep it for themselves so they can continue to milk fees and live off those rivers of gold at the expense of hard-working Australians.
Authorised G. Rennick People First Chermside.